I would describe the car as one of the last 90s, 80s, 90s hot saloon.
In its time, when it was first produced, it was a BMW Beta. It was the best car, saloon car, out at that time, I believe. It was a very good car, and it still is.
I think it's cool. It always has been. It's one of them, because it's rare and because it's unusual, not many people know what it is. So what I think about it is that it's a sleeper in its own clothing. You know, a lot of sleeper cars are made to be fast. This is just quick in its own dress. The favourite thing about the car is what I've just said, is the fact that it goes about its business in such a way that you don't think much about it, and most people who don't know think that it's a diesel or think that it's just a standard 405. And actually, with age these days, most people probably don't even realise what it is. So when you leave a Focus ST or something like that at lights, and then you pull up at next set of lights, and they go, "What the hell is that?" at you, you just drive off. That's what I love best about it. That's what I've always loved about it.
Well, obviously the power that it had got, being 160 bhp, I believe, but the shape of it and the load suspension for that particular model, that's nice as well.
The least favourite bit about the car is the fact that it's old, and that unfortunately when I got it, it wanted a lot of work doing, and it wants rebuilding now from ground up. So that's the bit I don't like about the fact, you know, it's an old Peugeot and it's fickle.
When driving the Mi16, you felt you've got plenty of power, freedom to drive fast or slow, and also you could drive it to and from work all week and then take it on the track at Silverstone at weekends. I got the car in 2000 and it was owned by a friend of my son's who had it repaired after it had been in an accident. It had had a rear end, back wing damaged, and so it was repaired, sold as damaged, repaired, and he had it for so long, and then I bought it.
I got the car around 4 years ago now, 3 or 4 years ago, when my dad was lost his space to keep it. He gave it to me to look after it, and because he could no longer use it. And having been sat in his garage for 2 years previous, it really wasn't in a good state. Almost straight away I had to replace the cylinder head. Had the gaskets done and everything else like that. And the car ran for probably 6 months after that before other things started to go wrong. But that's how I got it, and it gave to me. It was my inheritance, as he put it. And as my wife likes to put it, it's the inheritance that just continues to take away.
Oh, other than normal maintenance, such as brakes, tyres, exhausts, no, didn't do anything to it. You got what you got with an Mi16. It was the motor of the time, and it performed like it.
And I took it to have 4 new tyres put on to take us to Manchester Airport, and I found out that rear axle had collapsed. So the tyres got done, and then a few days later I found out that cylinder head had gone again. And I'm now in the middle of completely removing the engine because a head bolt got snapped in block, so it needs a new block, so it needs a complete engine rebuild, which I'm on with. The gearbox, it won't go into first gear unless you've stopped, so the synchro mesh is starting to go on the gearbox, so that one's redoing. The rear axle's got to come off and be rebuilt because the bearings collapsed, and then obviously on top of that all the suspension and brakes and everything else like that wants doing because it's been stood for 4 years.
I wouldn't change anything because it's got its character. It's got a 405 and it's got character as far as I'm concerned. And it's the 16 valve badges and the Mi16 badge that gives it that individuality. And so no, I like it because of that, and I wouldn't change anything.
I don't think I'd change anything. I'd just make it work the way that it should. Because when the car works, it's really cool. It's not these days. It's not the fastest thing anymore. It's actually pretty slow, to be fair. But because it's so light and because it's so rare, it still puts a shock at most people. It sounds like a train. When it goes, it really, really makes a good noise. So I wouldn't improve anything. If I was to, when I'm finished with it, I want it to be original, because that's where the car should be. Silverstone's quite an interesting one, because that starts, as all these kind of things do, early in the morning, on a Sunday morning. Me, Craig Taylor, Craig Hoyle and Michael Clare and my dad all came to my dad's house and set off to go down to Silverstone for a track day. Back then my dad were part at Peugeot Sports Club, and he'd been invited as part at Peugeot Sports Club to go and drive around Silverstone. But not the full Formula One circuit, the international circuit, which is like half the size of the Formula One circuit. But anyway, we called off at services, I can't remember which ones, and we had some breakfast and we set back off again. And we were going up motorway. It's 6, 7 in the morning, Sunday morning. There's not many people about. This is probably 2001-ish. And for whatever reason, when we were coming up motorway, there were a van in slow lane, nobody in middle lane, nobody in fast lane. But for whatever reason, this guy were asleep or weren't paying any attention or just didn't give a shit. Just didn't move out of the way to let me dad on.
One or two motorway battles with other cars.
He rode in fourth gear, he slotted it into third and nailed it straight up side of this van, up chevrons, because we're at this point, because all this time he's thinking this guy's going to move out of the way.
And I usually won.
Dusted him.
Rightly or wrongly.
And went window down and gave him rods. Then we went off down to Cops Corner, and all I recall of that day was it were really hot, so it must have been midsummer, and there would have been right on where we were, and it was just full of wasps. And we moved, and they moved with us, and there were another bin full of wasps. But that's where we wanted to be, because Cops Corner, if you don't know, is a corner on Silverstone that is one of the fastest corners on track.
It was awesome, but because I wasn't an experienced tracker, if you like, I went out on Silverstone, as you can see with the photographs you've got. I went round Silverstone once.
He was chasing a 106 rally, and all down straight, you were right up behind him, and every time we were willing him on up, for him to pass this 106. But this 106 rally was stripped out and more track focused, and it was so much better through corners than my dad were in this. So he couldn't stay with him through corners, so then down straight you go right up behind him, and then last lap Peugeot 405 come round in front,
and I then started to relax and get overconfident, and then on a particular bend, I think it's called Cops, is it? I believe it was called Cops, it might be called different now. I felt the car drift a little bit at the back end, and unfortunately I touched the brakes, and so I spun it.
When my dad come round and I said, how were it? He says, I spun. I said, what do you mean? He says, I spun. I says, how did you spin? He says, well, I got past that 106 and I was showboating a bit. He said, and I just went round.
I got brand new tyres on at the time, and they cost a lot of money, and I'd taken some wear out of them.
And all I could say was, me tyres! Ah! And I was just like, what do you mean you spun? And that was that. We had a good day. Then we were coming home, and once again we were going up A14, I think it is, A15, I can't remember. And this guy in a 220, Rover 220 turbo Targa thing, tried going up inside of my dad. We were already doing 80 miles an hour. And considering we got a full car, he weren't having him come up inside him. We were in outside lane and he were in inside lane to then cut in front of him. He dropped it from 5th to 4th and revved it up, and we were gone. And that were a car that were probably supposedly more powerful, but it were a Rover at the end of the day.